Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview, where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today, I'm joined by Mark Podolsky, who is an investor. He's a fellow podcaster that actually just launched his show, The Land Geek, so we'll talk about that a bit, and you should check it out. But Mark teaches others about real estate investing in his podcast with heavy emphasis on his area of expertise, investing in raw land. Considering that everyone and their brother is a real estate investor these days or wants to invest in real estate, it's really shocking how few people there are that discuss investing in raw land. And there are a ton of advantages to it, and quite frankly, very little competition. So I know Mark's going to tell us more about that today. Lots of potential for profits for sure. So Mark is going to tell us all about his favorite investment today, which is land. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show.
Mike, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Great seeing you again.
Sorry?
Great seeing you again.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I was on your show, obviously, just last week. So, hey, before we get started, I forgot to bring this up the last time we talked. So you're the land geek. I'm the flip nerd. I need to ask you: is it better to be a nerd or a geek, or are we ultimately just one and the same?
I think it's one and the same. I think nerd has a more pejorative term than geek, but either way, I think you have to fully embrace what you are.
Yeah.
And I know, so I'm definitely geeky with technology and all the weird cultural references that I'll throw out there are very geeky.
Yep. And hey, you know what? Being a nerd or a geek is it's in fashion these days, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're cool. Yeah. We're cool again. I got my glasses here actually. We're not ashamed. We're not ashamed to admit what we love to do and talk about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to be authentic, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And let me tell you what, there's nothing nerdy or geeky about making money.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ladies love it, Mike.
Awesome. Well, hey, tell us a little bit about your background. I happen to know you're also a corporate refugee, stopped working for the man at some point. And but tell us kind of about your background and how you got into investing, and specifically into investing in land.
I have a really strange story because I had absolutely no real estate background except for buying, my house at the time. So I was doing investment banking, mergers and acquisitions. We were working with private equity groups, just mid-market stuff, 50 to 500 million in enterprise value. And I'm analyzing companies all day long. Yeah. Right. And
who'd you work for, Mark? What?
It was Dinan & Company. It was a boutique investment banking firm out here.
Okay.
And so basically, we were working with these private equity groups, and we're analyzing companies for them and putting deals together. And it was miserable. It was a lot of pressure, long hours. I had a 45-minute commute to work and back. You felt micromanaged, just no control. I mean, you could, in the sales cycle was very long.
Right.
12, 18, 24 months.
Right.
To get a deal. And so we hire this guy and we start talking, and he's telling me that on the side, he is going to tax deed auctions, buying up raw land for next to nothing and flipping them online, and his returns were over 300%. So, Mike, I'm looking at companies, and I'm talking of a great company, really great company, had EBIT margins, free cash flow of 15%.
Right.
Right? Your average company had 10%. So he's telling me 300%. So, of course, I'm from St. Louis. We're the show me state, Missouri. I don't believe him. So I go to a tax deed auction with him in New Mexico. And I've got like $3,000 saved up for car repairs. And I tell my wife, look, I'm gonna buy some land and I'm gonna flip this land like this guy's doing. She's like, absolutely not, you are not doing that.
Right.
I said, look, worst case scenario, we own land, we have an asset. So she's like, okay, fine, but it better work out. So I go and I think I bought like 10 parcels of land, 10 half-acre parcels at this New Mexico tax deed auction for an average price of like $300. $300, Mike. And sure enough, put them up online. And a week later, I sold them for over $900. So now I've got over $9,000. And I tell my wife, like, look, here's the $3,000 back for car repairs. I'm going to do this again. So I go to another auction, and there's no one there. This is in 2000. No one's at this auction. I'm buying up properties for nothing. And in the next 6 months, I flipped up all those properties, and I made over $90,000 from my $9,000 investment.
Wow.
So now I'm telling my wife, look, I hate my job. And I wouldn't get like the Sunday blues. I'd get like the Friday blues.
Yeah.
In the weekend going by fast and Monday coming.
Right.
So she's like, absolutely not. You're not quitting your job. So I said, fine, won't quit my job. So for 18 months, I literally immersed myself part-time into buying and selling raw land and flipping.
Yeah.
And 18 months later, that income exceeded the investment banking income, and I quit. And I've been doing it ever since 2001.
That's awesome.
Full-time.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So tell us a little bit about what that means, because I think when most people hear you're investing in land, they think of kind of generally one of two things, like infill lots that are like in pre-existing neighborhoods, or or like massive like grasslands that people are driving past and they think, well, this is just wasteland. Nobody would be interested in this. But
right. I'm opportunistic. I'll buy anything.
Yeah.
If I can buy it right.
Right.
And so these are the people I target. This is basically the model, right? I want out-of-state owners that owe back taxes, and I want to send them a lowball offer. So I get lots of angry phone calls, but I do get a acceptance rate of between 3 and 5%.
Okay.
So we have amazing deal flow, and then we can quickly flip those properties, and our returns are huge, Mike. I mean, 300% on cash flips, over 1,000% on a land note. So, it's a one-time sale. You get recurring revenue, and it's passive income. And I say this a lot because on the podcast, I've named it. Went from the Land Geek podcast to the best passive income model podcast because I think it's the best passive income model. There's no physical inventory, no renters, no renovations, no rodents.
Yeah.
Right. One-time sale, recurring revenue, and you have a phenomenal asset that you don't have to maintain.
Yeah.
And after.
So tell us a little bit about like who owns this land. Are do they tend to be like inheritance type deals that's got handed down, and some family members like,
yeah,
I don't want this swampland in Florida or whatever it might be.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's typical. So they inherited something. Now they're on the hook for the taxes.
Yeah,
and
they're
like,
on the hook for the taxes.
What in the heck did my dad or grandpa leave me with here? Like, what, why couldn't I at least get that brass toe ring he had or something?
Yeah, exactly. So we get those calls and emails all the time. I don't know what to do with it. And they owe the back taxes. And so eventually, if they don't pay their taxes, they're going to lose it anyways.
Right.
So we're able to, quickly buy it.
Yeah.
And then quickly sell it.
Yeah. So I know you're like me. You're an opportunist. People have asked me before just to kind of give you my response to people like, do you buy houses at this level or that level or this part of town? And I usually say, I'll buy a teepee if the numbers work. So it sounds like we're ultimately, most real estate investors, you've got to be in the opportunity business, right?
Yeah, you've got to be in the opportunity business, and you got to be flexible like a yogi.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, no one was doing it. No one knew about it. And I could go to these tax deed auctions, and the room was empty. Well, after a few years of this, and people start catching on, the rooms are full. I'm not paying retail at an auction
Right.
for land. So then we started going directly to the source.
Right.
And, that's working great. And then 2008 hits. Nobody has money anymore. You go back to the tax deed auctions. So there's lots of creative ways to do it, but you have to be cognizant of the fact this is a market, and the markets are constantly changing, and you have to change with it.
Yeah. So if there is a typical kind of transaction, can you talk about whether they're kind of in to be residential areas, or like, are you buying stuff that's truly in the middle of nowhere, or just talk, probably a little bit of everything, but is there anything that's typical that you can kind of say?
Yes. So basically I buy infill lots. I bought a subdivision that went under from the Property Owners Association, and I'll buy property that you would consider in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And look, Mike, I don't judge, right? Just because I probably wouldn't want to live there doesn't mean that someone else wouldn't love the vast open space, the clean, fresh air. And there are a number of people out there that don't want neighbors. Yeah. And, what you and I would consider the middle of nowhere, the prepper movement is a real thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And people love that property.
And are these, you're kind of talking about this like they're all residential owners that, want to use that land to live on it. Is that typical, or is it people that want to kind of sit on land for someday we're going to do something with it, or?
I'd say 90% of my investors are exactly what you just said. Almost like buying a nice piece of jewelry. They just like the idea of owning the land and the idea of getting a great value on that property. They don't necessarily go out and use it at all.
Yeah.
I've got one customer who bought a 40-acre parcel from me, and every year for 4th of July, they go out, they drive 30 miles out, and they camp on the land, and they call me every year and they say, Mark, it's unbelievable. You've never seen a night sky like this because it's just pure, unadulterated darkness.
Wow, that's cool.
There's nothing out there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, and then kind of the back end of your model really is, I presume, is to sell it with seller financing. Is that right?
Yeah, and that was one of the big mistakes I made when I first started. Was I didn't even think about seller financing. I was just flip, pay taxes, flip, pay taxes.
Yeah.
And it didn't occur to me, hey, where's the passive income on this?
Right.
So then I started, putting a note on each property and building up that note portfolio.
Yeah.
And now, there's nothing better than making money in your sleep.
Right. Yeah. So, so talk a little about, I guess, the model of basically kind of what you're buying. Just maybe give a recent example, even what you're buying it for, because I know you're buying it at a deep discount. And then typically when you offer seller financing, you're able to get market value or much closer to it because you're the bank, you're providing the financing. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's easy. Yeah. So it's very easy money. Very easy terms. We try to keep it at a car payment.
Okay.
And so it's affordable for just about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and again, the properties we're buying, these are not $100,000 properties.
Right.
I mean, this is the type of business it's a volume business, right? So you might do one house flip, and I might have to do 10 land flips, right?
Yeah.
But it's so much easier for me to acquire this property. I mean, we're talking about, I bought 10 5-acre parcels in Colorado for under $1,000.
Wow.
And then I can flip them for, $6,000 to $10,000, depending on what's going on out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a typical type of deal.
Right.
I mean, we're not talking real money here.
Yeah. And for those that aren't, because I'm kind of curious, for those that don't know, when you're buying, I know it's all over the board, but talk about when people are buying land typically way outside of town. I mean, the taxes are significantantly less than what they might pay for where their home is, right?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
$3, $10.
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah.
And less. I mean, again, the numbers work.
Right.
For just about everybody.
Yeah. Which is crazy because you said you're targeting people that owe back taxes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but they're basically just advertising to the world. They don't value it anymore.
Right.
It's not that they can't afford to pay those back taxes typically.
Yeah.
It's that they don't want the property anymore. It's just like what you said in the beginning of the show. Maybe they inherited the property and they don't know what to do with it anymore. And they get the tax bill and they're like, what is this?
Right.
And so that's really how it is. It's not brain surgery.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, can you kind of give an example of like what a seller finance deal looks like? Like how much? I assume you get it down, just like all seller financing. You're getting some down payment, which my guess is it might cover a decent sized portion of your purchase price.
Yeah, I like if I can get my money out on the down.
Yeah,
that's the deal. But even if I can get my money out in 6 months,
yeah,
that's fine with me. The longest I'll go is a year.
Yeah, so I think we need to say that again. Like, so basically, if you purchase a property, you may purchase it for, make it up, $5,000, and then you're going to finance it. And part of your terms when you sell it to somebody is that they have to put $5,000 down or close to it, to where effectively at that point you're just collecting a seller finance note, a payment every month for what's a typical number of years that you're collecting payments for.
So it just depends on the full purchase price, but
Right.
I have some notes that are 5 years. I have some notes that are 15 years. I have some notes that are 30 years.
Yeah,
And so there's not, a real strict model there. But again, I'd like to get all my investment out within 12 months.
yeah, yeah,
And make it easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to flip these properties in 30 days or less. So I want to keep it at a car payment. I don't deal with even doing credit checks, because I can flip them so fast. Even if they fall out, I'll just resell it again. It's almost like a bond.
Right.
It's great.
Right. So, what is kind of your rate of default that you have to take a piece of land back?
It's higher than average the way that I do it. Some of my competition, some of my students, they do it differently than me because they don't want to deal with the defaults.
Yeah.
But mine are about 30%.
Wow.
Which is really high.
Yeah.
Some of theirs.
What can you explain? Like why? What are you doing?
No credit checks.
I see. You're not doing credit checks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Plus, you're charging like 40% interest, right, for over 30 years. No, I'm joking.
Well, no. I mean, the interest rate, may not be very high, but because of the time value of money, we're making it over 1,000%.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
So,
and the fact that you're getting most of your money back on their down payment. So.
Right. Exactly. So at that point, it just becomes, is that kind of customer that is, and things happen in life too, Mike. They might lose their job.
Absolutely.
So, they might move, and what they thought was going to be their dream parcel, they moved and no longer want that parcel. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
We'll take it back and we'll sell it again.
Right.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about, you've mentioned, I've heard you mention a few different states of where you bought deals at. Talk about kind of geographically where you focus, or if you're agnostic to geography, or kind of how you pull that off.
Yeah, I'm not agnostic to geography, and I get this question a lot. I'm from the Midwest, but I don't like to buy in the Midwest. Even if I can buy at pennies on the dollar, I want to go in the Southwest, California, and Florida. I want to be where the rest of the country wants to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about it. If you're in New York and you can buy a 40-acre parcel for $40,000, that's like nothing.
Right.
And just the idea of that, getting that mindset is, they're like, wow, it's an incredible value. It's a huge amount of acreage for someone from New York, 40 acres, and it's affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if I said, here's 40 acres in Arkansas, I'm like, well, it's Arkansas.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, maybe share a little bit about kind of the transaction cost. So it sounds like you're buying a lot of really low dollar properties. Do you get, I'm in the house business, so it's hard to close on a deal without spending a few $1,000 by the time you pay title policy and escrow fees and a whole bunch of other fees that you don't even know what they are. But if you're kind of transacting in small dollar stuff, talk about kind of the importance of the fees?
Yeah, that's really interesting because unless it's $5,000 or more, I don't close through a title company. And when we're doing our due diligence, we'll make sure we might hire an abstractor for $80 to pull the docs, make sure title's clean,
Yeah.
and everything's free and clear of any liens or encumbrances, and we'll just deal directly with the seller.
Okay.
And then we'll do the same thing with our buyer. So it's very rare that we have these frictional costs because the prices are so low.
Right.
And if I have a buyer that insists on using title, I say, fine, then you just pay the title fees.
Yeah. So, Mark, why do you think more people don't know about this little secret, little jewel in the rough?
Yeah, because I think if you read typical investment magazines, raw land is highly speculative.
Yeah.
It's illiquid. It is typically the playground of billionaires. So when we're talking about raw land, like if I'm reading Fortune, for example, I'm reading about Ted Turner.
Right.
And his productive land. I mean, I think he's the largest landowner in the U.S. Jeff Bezos owns half of West Texas, right? Red Malone, or Red Emerson even. John Malone, who owns the Red Sox, and Red Emerson. So these are billionaires that own the majority of the productive land,
right,
timberland in the United States. And then you've got big raw land bankers and developers who come in and they're going to buy the path of growth and they're going to entitle it and they're going to take lots of risk and they're going to do a phase 1 environmental and a phase 2 and they're going to put millions of dollars in infrastructure and sell to a developer. It's high risk, high reward model. That's not my model.
Right.
They can do that. That's great. I'm looking for, Joe and Mary Smith who have a 10-acre parcel that they don't know what to do anymore with that property. And we solve that problem for them, and then we solve a ownership problem on the other end of it for an asset that somebody thought that they couldn't afford. Now they can afford a piece of land that, look, it's the only thing that lasts. It's the only asset that's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how you find deals. I know you said you kind of target out-of-owner folks with back taxes. So are you going into local kind of counties, cities, states, and pulling information on back taxes, or are you purchasing lists that kind of give you that information? Or
yeah, I mean, getting the list is always always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
First place I'll go is the county, and try to get the list from the treasurer of who owns back taxes. A lot of times they're like, "What? We don't have that list." So then I'll go to the assessor, and I'll try to get the assessor parcels list, and then we'll do some fun geeky things with iMacros if the information's online. If we can't get that, then we'll get real geeky, and we'll creatively figure out how we can get the list. And there are companies out there that can help you with a list, agentpro247.com. But what I found is that a lot of the times that information's not always up to date. Listsource.com is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
For getting a list.
Okay. So how do people get started in this space, Mark?
So I think a great place to get started is first going to your local county, tax deed or tax lien auction, and just be an observer. Drive around town, take a look at that tax auction list, and get a feel for what types of properties those are. If you're really kind of drawn to land investing, I'm going to shamelessly plug, come to my site.
Yeah. Well, where do they go? Where do they go on your site?
Yeah, www.thelandgeek.com, and you can download for free our passive income blueprint. You can get our ebook, How to Avoid the 3 Fatal Land Buying Mistakes, and then you get our podcast delivered each week to your email inbox.
Yeah.
And then you can always look at the Land Geek podcast as well, the archives. But
sure,
you're on the new podcast.
Yeah.
That's Passive Income Model podcast.
So I'll share the link to my episode. The other stuff, people are kind of on their own to find it now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no one really.
Yeah. So would you say that? Who do you think? I know you there's a number of students you've had that you taught this to. Did they tend to be people that were kind of like you that started with no experience, or more of people that were maybe in the single family space or other kind of types of investing in real estate and just said, wow, this sounds a whole lot easier than what I've been doing, so let me check that out?
Yeah, it's so funny. I think my people they have solo economic dependency, right? So if they're not working, they're not making any money, and they don't necessarily. Some of them have tried to do house flips and be a landlord, and they just hated it.
Yeah,
and they didn't want to deal with the tenants. So this model was really attractive to them. I mean, some of my students, I've got, a psychiatrist, and I have pilots, I have engineers, I have a lawyer. So they typically, these are high income people trading dollars for hours, and they're looking down the horizon like, well, where's my passive income going to come from?
right.
And here's a way for them to do it that they don't have to, bump across, say hedge funds,
Right,
or other bigger players in single family homes or wherever it is in the area that could be highly competitive. They don't want to do that. And this is a non-competitive niche, and with a huge, huge market of raw land.
Sure. Absolutely. So what's your limitation on doing more? Like, what would it take for you to, does it come down to your personal bandwidth? I mean, to scale up your business, significantly from where it is now?
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, we're raising money for another fund with accredited investors. So we give them a great return and invest money for other people. We can do joint ventures. I think that you can wholesale in this business if you don't have any money. Again, the real value in any real estate transaction is the deal, right? If you get the deal, there's lots of opportunities in different ways to structure that deal.
Yeah, to monetize it.
To monetize it, yeah, absolutely. So there's, at some point, like when I first started, I used all my own cash, and then once we started doing the owner financing, there'd be like a cash flow crunch, right? So we would go out and we would invest other people's money.
Yeah.
And give them a nice return, or we would just lock up the deal on an option and we would double close as well.
Yeah.
Which is a strategy I really love. I've got students that they run out of money and they lock up the parcel, and then they immediately sell that parcel right away, and then they double close, and it's like magic.
Yeah. So Mark, tell us where folks can learn more about, I know you've obviously got your podcast, you've got a couple sites. Tell us one more time where people go, and we'll make sure we get all these links down below the video as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best place to go to get started is landgeek.com. And then, subscribe to the Best Passive Income Model podcast as well. And there's tons of information out there. I also do coffee talk videos where I love coffee.
Coffee talk. Coffee?
A coffee talk.
That's
I'm
funny.
caffeinated all the time. I'm completely wired right now.
Yeah.
And
I was shooting Red Bulls before we got on, so I'm joking. But yeah.
No, I mean, I can tell your eyes look a little.
Yeah. It's been one of those days now.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go on youtube.com/thelandgeek and get He's really sick of looking at my face and watching me give you tips and drink coffee.
So tell us again, what is the coffee talk? That's just like a separate show that you do, or that you've done in the past?
Yeah, it's just a separate thing where I just come on and I'll talk about a book I read or a land investing tip.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
And drink coffee.
Yeah.
So 2 to 3 minutes, because I have the attention span of a ferret on a double cappuccino. I can't go any longer.
Awesome. Well, just having known, I had another guest on a while back that talked about land, doing some of the same things that you do. It's very intriguing. I mean, for somebody that deals with tenants and toilets, and has bought hundreds of houses, and ultimately, don't get me wrong, it's been a fantastic business for us financially, very rewarding in a lot of ways. But if there is a harder way to do it, I don't know if there is. We've done it the hard way for sure. And so there's a lot of appeal in not having to deal with tenants and toilets and termites and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, I call this migraine-free real estate investing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I encourage people to go check out what Mark's got. It's good stuff, and his His show, The Land Geek, is awesome because I was on it. I mean, come on. So, but tell us about your show. Are you going to do something kind of? It's very similar format to mine. I know it's primarily audio, but are you just interviewing other real estate investing experts?
Yeah, I'm just interviewing other experts like you, and not necessarily just in real estate. So I had a efficiency expert on. I had a social media expert on, because I think that there's lots of ways. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, this is still business, right? And you still have to understand marketing. Especially in real estate. I think that's, if you're going to devote 90% of your time on marketing and deal flow in real estate. When my students tell me, hey, I want to get a website and a logo, I'm like, that doesn't make you any money. Let's get deal flow in first.
All right.
Then you can worry about this.
Cool. So check out thelandgeek.com, and we'll add a link down below for those of you that can't remember thelandgeek.com, but we'll have it there. Hey, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. Definitely appreciate your time, and thanks for sharing your experiences with us.
Mike, thanks so much. Appreciate you having me.
Good luck getting that show off the ground.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.